Well met, adventurer. Have you heard that this very tavern in which we are meeting has a basement infested by large rats? Glorious! I'll help, and I totally won't betray you once we're in the tavern basement. Oh, my name? Call me Tav. Fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons are full of tropes, whether 'cause it's the best idea Dave could come up with at your table, or 'cause it's the best idea Dave could come up with at the RPG studio where he's a professional writer.
Hello, I'm a hobbit.
But each one of these cliches is cliche for a good reason. So today we'll talk about where they came from and how to make sure they're still fun. 'Cause I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and be sure to comment your favorite fantasy tropes below, 'cause there's way more than 3 that we could talk about in future videos. Immediate nature break because this hickory tree is simply raining down pieces of nuts right now. There must be 1 or more squirrels just munching away. Trope number 3, you meet in a tavern. This is widely considered to be the D&D version of It Was a Dark and Stormy Night, or Once Upon a Time. It is just how you begin a D&D campaign. But where did this trope come from? Like so many other fantasy cliches, it's really tempting to just say, Tolkien probably did it. And if we look into The Lord of the Rings, where our 4 little hobbits
I'm a hobbit.
stay at the Prancing Pony and meet Strider for the first time, sitting in a dark corner with his hood up. We'll get to that trope later. This origin theory seems pretty solid, but it does have holes, because some sources say Gandalf instructed the hobbits to meet him there. That's how I remembered it. But others say Gandalf told them to go to Rivendell. So I think this is a books versus movies conflict, but it's all wrong. The true origin of meeting in a tavern goes all the way back to the 14th century in Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales.
It was the strangest book I ever read.
That's right, Dave. Dig deep and recall your high school English class when you learned that the Tabard Inn outside London was where these 30 pilgrims began their journey, because taverns and inns are perfectly acceptable places for mingling among all social classes and D&D classes. Plus, it is a great place to kick off a campaign with a low-stakes fight like a tavern brawl, or rats in the basement, or rowdy guards harassing a barmaid, literally the opener of the first campaign I played in, or even fending off a troll, which is the opening fight in an official D&D 5e campaign where you start in a tavern. So, more than a trope, meeting in a tavern is a fine default. Just be sure to throw in some action to make it a memorable start, some interesting NPCs who belong in this mingling environment, foreshadowing our other tropes, and a quest board full of fun, one-off adventures like the ones you can find in today's sponsor. One Shot Wonders Volume 2, the sequel to an award-winning book of mini 5e adventures by Roll and Play Press. And my favorite thing about it, really it's 2 things, is how every adventure fits on a single spread. No flipping around. All the details are concisely laid out in front of you. And the other thing, the publisher is just real about these adventures being quick to prepare and easy to run, without trying to call it zero prep. And I appreciate that. That's over 100 one-shots written with D&D 5e in mind, but definitely compatible with any similar system, and with new sections focused on the Shadow Realm and the Fey Realm, building on the biomes of both books, which are abundantly illustrated in their map library expansion pack, full of maps and reusable static cling stickers for more ways to customize your encounters on the fly. And whoa, they actually support high-level play by including an epic boss battle in each section? If you don't believe me, check out the Kickstarter for One Shot Wonders Volume 2 through my link below so they know who sent you. Trope 2. The shady lone wolf guy in the corner of the tavern. This edgelord character can take a few forms, but we are focusing on the reluctant, brooding tough guy character who's so edgy that they practically avoid being part of the game. On the other hand, notable fantasy inspirations done well include Strider in The Prancing Pony, Geralt of Rivia in everything I've ever seen about The Witcher. But just like the shady corners of taverns where these mysterious dudes who work best alone like to hang out, this cliche predates Tolkien's writing by a long shot. We could loosely tie this trope to my personal favorite folklore hero, Robin Hood, an outlaw wanderer, obviously a hooded rogue, and even an orphan, depending on which telling of the tale you're going with. But Robin Hood is almost always a charismatic hero, palling around with the merry men, not really the stoic lone wolf type. Now, this cliche probably has much earlier origins, but seems to have been popularized by the mythologized but real adventures of the masterless samurai, or ronin, like, for example, Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote 21 ascetic precepts actually titled The Way of Walking Alone. And this same character archetype really exploded in popularity in the early Wild West film genre, full of tough guys who live by their own code. But this personal code idea is precisely the RPG problem better known as "it's what my character would do," or in the worst manifestations of this trope, "it's what my character would not do." All that does is create conflict, and on its own, conflict is fun, especially in fantasy games where most of the rules are about fighting. But when that conflict is personified into a character who the party is not supposed to fight, it's really frustrating. So for the sake of fun in fantasy RPGs, you gotta make sure this edgy character's personal code and their own mysterious motivations align with the adventure that the GM has planned, and for an NPC, that it aligns with the player character's motivations. In my biased opinion, there is no better example of this trope done well than Aragorn himself, because of how perfectly it aligns with the other kind of ridiculous cliche wrapped up into his one character, the Chosen One. Ah, the true king of Gondor, the boy who lived, the pure of heart who may pull the sword from the stone. This hero, often foretold in some ancient text, is destined to save the world from the unspeakable evil that it seems like everyone is constantly speaking about. And this trope, in heavy air quotes, is practically the foundation of Western storytelling. This is the prophecy, like genuinely messianic myth, as in the Messiah, or in English, the Anointed One, a savior character seen in stories around the world for thousands of years. So I don't have to explain this one, right? However, here we go. When we're playing a fantasy tabletop RPG with multiple people, every player is the main character, so this ancient cliche about a singular hero gets a little tricky. How do we make the Chosen One trope fun for everyone at the table? First, like any RPG prophecy, make it vague and open to interpretation. So open, in fact, that like real prophecies, there are people in the world who doubt its legitimacy. This approach leaves lots of room for you and the players to shape the outcome as you go, and it builds in room for conflict, both internally with friendly characters losing sight of the ultimate purpose, and externally as unfriendly characters try to steer them away or hinder them. Second, make this destiny a blessing and a curse. The unspeakable evil only they can defeat is also drawn to them, endangering anyone associated with them. This ensures that the Chosen One feels special and gets to be a little extra powerful, but for better or worse, because they're also attracting this danger all the time. And third, my favorite option here, the Chosen One can just be the entire party. There are many stories like this, Lord of the Rings included, where each hero in the band has a reason for being there and brings their own unique expertise to different challenges. So only together, through the power of their combined efforts, can they save the world from the unspeakable evil. Even if it's just clearing rats out of the tavern basement. Really, this Chosen One's campaign premise only doesn't work when you have PCs or NPCs leaning too far into the other tropes. This one guy is way too chaotic and random, or this other character is obviously more powerful than the rest, and this other guy really seems like he's gonna betray us at some point. So if you haven't already, please let me know about your favorite or least favorite fantasy RPG tropes down in the comments so we can talk about them in a future video. Remember to give this one a thumbs up, say thanks to our sponsor, and to our true saviors, the Bob World Builder Patreon supporters and YouTube members for making it all possible. Keep building.